Well, that was a surprise. Thank you, Michelle. Governmental affairs. First of all, let me say that the Ledge Day was really great. We all went up to Sacramento last Wednesday, and if you didn't get there this year, put it on your calendar for next year. We had good speakers. We had a nice lunch, and then we had a nice visit to the Capitol. At the Capitol, many of us went in and observed the Senate hearing, which was very interesting to see how it's done. And we had time with with Senator Wolk and Assemblywoman Yamada's staff, where we discussed some of our concerns with upcoming real estate legislation that's either on the books already as a bill number, or those things that we're afraid of being on the books. A couple of, just again, thanks to all the people who took time out of their busy day to come up there and be with us. I know everybody has work to do in the real estate business, so it's not easy to get away for a day. A couple of pieces of legislation that you should be aware of that we are dealing with at the CAR meetings. First one is AB 935 by Assemblyperson Blumenfeld, and that's a bill that would have prohibited a county recorder from recording a notice of default unless the lien holder paid a foreclosure mitigation fee of $20,000. Now, how many of you think that's a good idea? I mean, not that we love the lenders. I mean, we do love you lenders out there. But it might have a negative impact on the REO side of our business, or actually it might really be difficult to enforce. So we did some lobbying against that prior to the legislative days meeting, and actually on the day we got there, it was announced that had been set aside, that bill, and turned into a 2-year bill. And when a bill is turned into a 2-year bill, what that means is that it's pretty much shelved. They're not going to deal with it this year. They couldn't get the support for it. And we feel that it's probably going to be pretty difficult for them to get support next year as well. Nobody likes to call something a stupid idea, but I heard somebody say that. It wasn't me. Another bill that we're dealing with during legislative days was AB 350. The author is Assemblyperson Solorio. And a few years back, like 3, 4, 5 years ago, there was a bill that was called the Displaced Janitor Opportunity Act. And we fought hard against that back then, but we lost. And sometimes we lose these fights because of more powerful influences within the lobbying field, like a group called the SEIU, where they have all their members show up to these hearings wearing shirts that say SEIU on them, and reminding the Assembly people and the Senate people that they give them a lot of money. So we lost that a few years ago. This act basically says that if you have a building and you have a contract for janitors at the building, and the building sells, the new owner can't fire the janitors and get new janitors. The new owner has to keep the old janitors, because you know, give them a chance, let's see how it works out. And you couldn't even fire them, could not even fire them for cause. Well, this new AB 350 is gonna be called, I forgot what they're gonna call it, but it's the Full Employment Opportunity Act. And in addition to the janitors, they've added some other categories, security people, landscaping people, window cleaning people, food, cafeteria, dietary specialist services. CAR is opposed to that bill. We're gonna work real hard to defeat it. In addition, they've also tacked on some time, additional time that you cannot remove these people from the employment role. So we're really opposed to that. There was almost a red alert on it, but we slowed that down because the bill still has to go through a few more committees, and we have a few more opportunities to either soften it or defeat it before it gets to the point where we have to get that involved in it. But keep that in mind, AB 350 Solario, you may be hearing about it again in the next few months. Also, another bill, AB 1090, Blumenfeld is the author of that, and that's the split tax roll bill. CAR is opposed to that. For those of you who don't know what the split tax roll is, that's where we all know that even after the cuts that Governor Brown has recommended and put in place, and going forward with next year's budget, we're still about $13–14 billion behind, or in the negative category. The budget is unbalanced by about $13 billion. So one way they think they can get some more money is to do an end run around Proposition 13, which says that when you buy a piece of property, that's your tax base. It can go up a little bit every year, but you know, it's basically 1% of what you paid for the property. They'd like to split off the commercial end of the properties and say that, well, commercial property, we want to treat that differently, because commercial property is worth more and we can get some more money out of it. So they'd like to take that out of Proposition 13 and create a split tax roll, one with residential, one with commercial properties. CAR is adamantly against that as well. And another bill, seismic safety improvements, is on the books. This is a bill that we're supporting at CAR, which if you have commercial property or residential property, but maybe a multi-family building that is lacking in some of its earthquake safety standards and you want to improve it, you would be able to get an assessment on the building that would pay for the seismic retrofit, and then you would pay for those improvements on the retrofit over a period of time, instead of having to do it at a point of sale where you sold the building but it's not seismically sound, so the new owner has to do it, or the old owner has to do it before it closes escrow. A couple of other quick items that we discussed. The 1099 reporting that I talked to you about last time, I think it was in February, where anybody who does more than $600 worth of business with anybody else is going to have to provide a 1099. At the federal level, we've managed to get that defeated. It is out of the law, and you don't have to worry about that anymore. So the House and the Senate passed, repealed that. It was part of the health care bill, and President Obama signed it. Speaking of that, there are 17 new Q&As on the CAR website. One of them deals with 1099s for realtors. A couple of other interesting ones you might be interested in is short sales, notice of default and investor transactions, and foreclosure timelines. Lastly, because I don't want to take up too much of everybody else's time, The next CAR trade show and expo is in September 20th to 22nd. They'll have a training day on the Tuesday before that, that's September 20th. Early registration expires on the 27th of May. So if you're gonna go, and it's only in San Jose, short trip down the road, a couple of you get together, you carpool down there. A great trade show and some great training classes, so keep that in mind. The 27th is the end of early registration. And that's all I have. Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.